when it comes to older card games on the internet, one of the more interesting little aspects of it have been some that have not particularly succeeded, but failed. One of which being Chaotic, a card game that was coming around in about 2006 when things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic were getting more popular, and where things like Bakugan and the Beyblade Metal Saga series were really starting to pick up. Therefore, it kind of got lost in the shuffle, being a little too generic to compare to the more gothic style of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the more kid-friendly, super cool and hype Beyblade or Bakugan. Therefore, discontinuing in about 2010, losing within the card game wars. That being said, not like it's over for them. In fact, it seems like it's just beginning. Recently, we've had an announcement for a new revival of the Chaotic franchise. Those who are fans of the first seasons of the Chaotic can rejoice once again, as a lot of their cards are coming back in a brand new style. Hopefully, I don't know. There's evidence to say that the old cards will not be used in this reboot of the game. But let's get into looking onto everything. Recently, this website has appeared, of which showcases all the stuff for the Chaotic reboot. Now, this has been a countdown for a good 2 days, and then a day prior to this recording, it has become this website with 6 different areas. We've got things like the login section, which is just logging into the Chaotic website. The home button, Mega Roar, which seems to be their main news outlet. Portal to Purim, which will let you look through all of the different monster types that are here and all different monsters that are in this world, including things like overworld creatures, underworld creatures, dining creatures, Mayapean creatures, and stuff like that. There is also the animation. They have been releasing this animation steadily, but they are rebooting the series, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. And the About section when it comes to the legacy, development, and everything else about Chaotic. That being said, we're here to learn more about the reboot. So what's going to happen card game-wise for Chaotic itself? Well, when you're going over here, we have 3 different articles for our section here. I think that this one is the most important when it comes to news about the game itself. So we can go over and see the different things that they have planned out. First things first, they do have an official release scheduled for October in 2026 in different hobby stores, especially retailer GameStop, which is interesting considering that it filed for bankruptcy, so I don't know how they plan to do that, and EB Games Canada, which will be following a major retail release, which will happen in January 2027. So the first wave is going to be in October, second wave is going to be in January 2027. However, our first starter packs are going to introduce the different story elements of Purim, as well as multiple different sections of the card game itself, including their attacks, magic, the different tribes for the monsters, etc., etc. Overall, it seems pretty cool when it comes to how everything's releasing, but what are they going to do to try to make sure that this game doesn't pass again like it did before? Well, the revival will debut an all-new lineup of physical trading cards, a nationwide organized play program, and an innovative online experience backed by Amazon's warehouse software games. So, this is going to be not only an organized play physical release, but also a digital app as well, which is interesting to me. I think that when it comes to a reboot, they may be redoing some mechanics, therefore it's going to be a little hard for a lot of the older cards to actually make an impact in this new game. Just look at Yu-Gi-Oh! And how its older cards sometimes have a hard time doing stuff, unless it's like Raigeki, which just destroys the entire board, in which case, when is that not good? That being said, it's insane how much they seem to be going for this. They're trying to make this a whole thing with things like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon getting their own digital sector. They're trying to compete with them once again within this play space, which I don't know if they'll be able to do, Hopefully they'll be able to and figure out something to really get this thing pushing, but so far a lot of Chaotix fans are pretty happy with what they've been seeing here. That being said, it's not exactly 100% just the cards. Things like the Chaotix scanner was a big thing back during the Chaotix show, and of which, considering smartphones exist, they are going over and are admitting, let me see here, quote, soon you'll be able to point your phone at any Chaotix card and upload it directly to your phone. Your personal Chaotix card collection will be scanned directly into your online account. Therefore, you'll be able to use the Chaotix scanner just like they're able to do in the show, making it so that anime can come to life once again. We've been seeing this as a big push when it comes to community focus. Things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Players building Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual discs that shock you and deal damage to you and stuff like that. However, we haven't seen one coming in from a company, and for fair reason. Some of it is a little impractical. However, this one is one of the more practical implications of an old game mechanic being adapted to the modern world, especially considering that this is very, very, very convenient for Chaotix, given how advanced smartphones are and how widespread they are. But that's not all the Chaotix re-release has to offer us. Remember when I talked about the animation tab? Yeah, these aren't the old animations, these are remastered animations for the Chaotix anime. This thing was released again around in 2006 before, and with Season 2 and Season 3 being somewhat accessible to fans and Season 1 not being so, they tried to correct this by remastering Season 1. They're having it all on their website, and currently they have episodes 1, 2, and 3 available, with episode 4 coming out May 27th at the time of this recording, and 5 around June 3rd. Now all this is said and good, but the problem comes in, is there any downside to this release? Currently there isn't. It seems like a lot of fans are very excited for it, and a ton of people are super hyped to try to play Chaotix again, as like an old childhood game coming back once again for the older generation. However, there is one interesting issue to this remake. Its publisher. Panini is a very interesting store. It's going over and it has a lot of different stuff from WWE. Apparently, I don't know what this one is, I'll be honest. I'm not as good at Spanish. Things like FIFA, different, essentially sports cards that go over and you trade with each other. And those aren't typically games. Like, you obviously have the cards and they're good merchandise, but they're not games. You don't play with them. There are certain cards that they do have. Games that have been developed by Panini. However, the main problem is that they're well known for dying quickly. This has become an issue when it comes to potential game livelihood within Chaotix. It's an interesting case for this system. They've already failed one time and they're trying to reboot it again. I assume you would have wanted to try and fail again, so it's a little hard going with this publisher as to why exactly you would want to do so. I'm not sure exactly what the strategy is or where their main line is going to be when it comes to when to give up on a thing, but there are a ton of games with a ton of different carcasses in this particular store, and I'm very hopeful for the Chaotix fan base that that isn't the case with their game and that it lives a long life. At the very least, the mobile app and the online organized play do give me at least hope that there is going to be some sort of plan for longevity. But that being said, that is an assumption. I don't know anything about this company nor this game, so I'm not exactly sure what their main plan is going to be, but I do hope that it is something that all of the Chaotix fans will be able to get behind and will treat them like fans instead of a commodity. That being said, that's all I have on the Chaotix re-release right now, but I'm very curious as to what you guys have to think. Is there anything in particular you're worried or excited about when it comes to Chaotic coming over and being brought back into 2026? Please let me know in the comments, and until then, I'll see you guys soon.